Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're okay. This is part 2 of the airplane tutorial series, and in this part we're going to create the enter and exit functionalities. But before, if you do like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't lose any new content. And without further ado, let's start. Okay, so first we need to make the airplane interactable. And for that, as I said in the last video, I already created an interaction system, so I have an interaction interface that I can put on the airplane to make it interactable. So let me just open the airplane blueprint. And here in class settings, I'll just add the BPI interactable. And there we go. Now we have access to the interact function. So let's compile and save. And now if I hit play, and look to the airplane, as you can see the crosshair changed to the interaction crosshair. That means that we can interact with the airplane. But there is something that I want to change here. So basically now I can interact with the airplane by looking at anywhere in the airplane, as you can see. And I don't want that. I want to interact only if I'm looking in this area here. So let's change this. So basically, for the interaction part, I'm using a line trace by channel, and the line trace by channel works on anything that has the visible channel enable. So if you go to the airplane blueprint and select the mesh, let's scroll down here and let's expand the collision preset. Here, as you can see, the visibility is block. So that's why the line trace by channel is working on the airplane. But in this case, I don't want that. So to change this, let's change the collision presets here to custom, like so. And let's set the visibility channel to ignore, like this. Let's compile and save. And now if we look at the airplane, as you can see, we don't have the interaction crosshair. That means that the line trace is basically ignoring this airplane. So now we need to add an area here, basically a box collision, to act like this interaction area, right? So let's do this. So let's go back to the airplane blueprint, and here in components, let's just add a box collision. Just select the box collision here and just put anywhere you want. So for me, I'll put here in this area. Let me just decrease a little bit and increase the area like this. And there you go. So basically, if the player looks in this area here, we want to interact with the airplane. Let me just change this name here to interaction area, something like this. But we need to change the collision for this as well. So just select the interaction area, and here in collisions presets, let's expand this. So basically we need to set the visibility channel to block. So let's change the collision preset to custom again. And now let's change the visibility to block, like this. Let's compile and save. And now if we hit play, as you can see, if we look to the airplane itself, nothing happens. We don't have the interaction crosshair. But if we look in this area, there we go. Now we can interact with the airplane. So this is basically what I want. Okay, so now that we have the interaction area, let's implement the interact event. So let's double click on the event here to implement. So basically, when we interact with the airplane, this event will fire. So here we need to get in the airplane, right? So the first thing that we need to do is set a reference to the current driver of this vehicle. To do this, here in variables, let's create a new one. I will name this current driver like this, and let's change the type of this to character. So you just need to search here for character and get an object reference like this. So to set this, just hold Alt on the keyboard and drag the variable to create a set node. And for the character here, we can type, right click and type here get player character. So this will return the player character only if the pawn being controlled by the player is a character. So let me show you what I mean. Let me just open the third person character blueprint here. So as you can see, the parent class here is a character, right? So if the parent class of your pawn is a character, then this node will return this character. But if it's only a pawn, it's not a character, this node will return null, right? So keep that in mind. So let's just connect the return value here in the current driver. And now we need to attach this current driver to this airplane. To do this, right click and type attach, attach actor to actor, this node here in transformation, just get this node. Let's connect the execution pin. And the target is the current driver. So the current driver is what we are trying to attach to the airplane, right? And the parent actor is the airplane. So just right click and type self to get a reference to self like this. Let's connect in the parent actor. And here in the location rule, let's change this to snap to target. Let's do the same thing for the rotation, so snap to target. And for the scale, let's change to keep world, like this. Let's compile and save, and now let me show you what this looks like. So now if we hit play and interact with the airplane, so let me just go to the interaction area here. So if we interact, as you can see, now we are below the airplane because the HUD location of this airplane is right here, and we are snapping the character to the HUD location of this airplane. So this is why we are under here, and that's what we want. But as you can see, the collision of the character is interfering with the collision of the airplane. So of course, we need to disable the collisions for the character. So let's do this. Back to the airplane blueprint, now we need to disable the collisions. To do this, let's get a reference to the current driver, and we are setting the reference here, so we have a valid reference. So let's just drag from this and let's get the capsule component. So just type get capsule component, and here in variables we have the capsule component, so just get this. And now we can set the collision for this capsule component. So just drag and type set collision enable, this one here. Let's connect the execution pin. And of course, the new collision is no collision here. The new type is no collision. So now if we compile and hit play and interact with the airplane, we should not have collisions in the characters. So let's test this. And there we go. Now we are under the airplane, we are below the airplane without collisions, and that's what we want. So now let's disable the visibility of the character. Okay, so to disable the visibility of the mesh, because this current driver variable is a character, we can actually get a mesh from here. So just drag from the current driver and type get mesh. So here in variables we have the mesh, and this mesh is basically this one here inside the third person character. Of course, this is the parent class of this is character, so we have this mesh component. So basically this mesh here is this one, right? So we need to toggle the visibility of this. So from this mesh we can drag and type set visibility. Let's connect the execution pin, and of course in this case the new visibility is false, and let's enable this propagate to children here, because of course we need to change the visibility of the legs, face, torso and feet as well. Not only the mesh, we need to toggle the visibility of all these children as well. So just check this propagate to children. Let's compile and save, and now if we hit play, the character should be invisible when we attach to the airplane. So let's test this, and there we go. Now the character is basically invisible. Okay, so now that we are disabling the collisions for the character and the visibility, let's change the movement mode as well. So let's drag from the current driver here and let's type set movement mode, and again we can do this because this current driver is a character, right? The type of the variable is character. So let me just connect the execution pin here, and let me add some reroutes like this. Let's connect from here, and let me add one more reroute here. And there we go. So the new movement mode here, let's change to flying like this. Let's compile and save. And now we need to start controlling the airplane. To do this, we need to possess this airplane with the player controller. So let's right click and type get player controller. Let's get this node here. And from this, we can type possess. So let's get this node here, possess. Let's connect the execution pin. And for the in pawn here, this is the new pawn that we want to possess. And of course, this is the airplane. So let's get a reference to self like this. And there we go. So now if I compile and save and hit play, we should start controlling this airplane. So let's see this. Let's interact. And there we go. Basically now we are controlling the airplane, but we don't have a camera or controls inputs for this, right? So we are not actually controlling, but now the player controlling is possessing this airplane. So that's what we want. Okay, so now let's add a camera to this airplane. To do this, let's go back to the airplane blueprint. Let's go to the viewport, and here in the components, let's first add a spring arm component, this one here. And inside this spring arm, let's add a camera like this. So now let me just change the location of this spring arm. Let's put maybe here, and in the target length let's put maybe 1200 like this. So let's compile and save, and now if we hit play, we should see the this airplane from the camera when we attach to the airplane, when we start controlling the airplane. So let's see, there we go. Now we are seeing the airplane from that camera. That means that everything is working. So now we just need to start moving this camera. So let's do this. To move this camera, we need the inputs for the camera. We need the mouse, right? So if we go to the third person character, and if we go to the event, here we already have a camera input. So let's just copy this and let's paste on the airplane event graph. So maybe right here. And to control the spring arm, let's select the spring arm. So here we need to check this use bound control rotation. So let's just click on this, let's compile and save. And now if we hit play and if we enter the airplane, we should be able to move the camera with the mouse. So let's see. There you go. Now we can move the camera. So that's what we want. Okay, so now we need to deal with the inputs for the airplane. So if we go to inputs here, I have a main input and a walking input. If I go to main here, let's open this just to show you that in the main inputs, I have the mouse here. And in the walk inputs, so let me just open the walking input here, the context, I only have the jump, move with W, S, A, and D, right? The sprint and the interact. So basically I have the mouse in a separated input context of the walking, right? So now basically we need to create another one for the airplane. So to do this, let's go here to inputs or wherever you have all your inputs, right? In what folder you have. So here I will create a new folder for the airplane. Let's name this airplane. Let's open this, and here let's create another folder for actions like this. So inside the folder, I will create only one action for now. So let's right click and go to input action. Let's name this IA airplane exit. Let's create an action to exit the airplane, right? So let's go back to the airplane folder here next to actions, and here let's create the input mapping context. So here in input, just go to input mapping context. I will name this IMC for input mapping context airplane like this. Let's open this, and here in the mappings, let's add one. This one, of course, is the airplane exit, and for the mapping here, in this case, I will put F like this. Of course, you can put any key that you want. Let's save this, and now we just need to add this input when we enter the airplane. So let's do this. But first, let me show you how I will do this. So if I go to bases here I have a player controller class. Let's open this. So basically here in the event graph, I have two interface functions, one to add a input mapping and another one to remove a input mapping. So basically these interface functions are only calling the function add mapping and remove mapping. These are just functions that I created. So if we go to add mapping function, this is really simple. I'm just getting the enhanced input system and adding the mapping that I'm passing through an input, right? And in the remove is basically the same thing, but now I'm removing the mapping that I'm passing through an input. So basically, we will use these interface functions here to communicate with the airplane and the player controller to add or remove inputs, right? So that's what we will do. Okay, so now let's go back to the airplane blueprint, and here when we get in the airplane, after possessing the airplane, let's add the airplane input mapping and remove the walking input mapping. To do this, let's drag from the controller here and let's use the interface function. So add input mapping, this one here from the BPI PC. This is my interface, so BPI player controller, right? Let's get this function here. And here I'll just select the airplane because this is the mapping that I'm trying to add, right? And from the player controller, we can drag and type remove input mapping. Let's connect the execution pin, and of course, let's remove the walking input mapping because in this case, we are not walking anymore. We are inside the airplane, right? So basically, we are adding the inputs for the airplane and removing the inputs for the walking, right? Okay, so let's select everything here and let's press C to add a comment, and let's comment here, enter airplane like this. Let me just mark this show bubble when zoomed like this. And there we go. So now let's create the event when we exit the airplane, when we want to exit the airplane, right? To exit the airplane, basically we need to invert everything that we did here. But first we need an exit location. So let's go back to the viewport here. And as an exit location, I will add an arrow. So here in component, let's search for arrow. And let's add one. I will name this arrow exit location like this. And now you just need to put the arrow where you want the character to exit. So let's put maybe right here, right? And now we can use this exit location to set the character location to that location, right? Okay, so to exit the airplane, let's first get the action. So right click and type IA airplane exit to get the action like so. So first we need to detach the character from the airplane. To do this, right click and type detach from actor. Let's get this one here. Let's connect from the completed pin like so. So the target is the current driver. Let's drag this and connect in target. Let's keep relative for the location. Same thing for the rule, for the rotation rule, right? And for the scale, let's change to keep word like this. Okay, so now let's set this character to be at the same location as the exit location. To do this, drag from the current driver here and type set actor location. Let's get this one here. Let's connect the execution pin. And the new location, of course, is the exit location. So just drag in the graph, and from this we can type get world location. Let's get this one here and connect in the new location. Let me just add a reroute here. Okay, so now here we are disabling the collisions. So now we need to enable the collisions. To do this, let's again drag from the current driver. So I will drag from this reroute here. And let's type here capsule component. So we can get the capsule component like so. And from this, we can type set collision enable. Let's get this node here. Let's connect. And the new type here is collision enable query and physics. So let's select this one. Let me add a reroute here like so. And now we need to set the visibility of the mesh to true. So let's drag from this current driver here again. And this time let's get the mesh, this one. And from this we can type set visibility. Let's connect here. And the new visibility is true, and let's enable the propagate to children like so. And there we go. So basically now let's test this to see if this part is working. So let's interact with the airplane and let's try to exit. So there we go. I'm in the airplane now, and if I press F, there we go. The character is at the exit location, as you can see. But there's more that we need to do. So let's do. Okay, so after setting the visibility of the mesh back to true, let's start controlling the character again. So for that, let's right click and type get player controller. And from this, we can type possess. So let's type possess here. Let's connect. And the pawn that we want to control this time is the current driver. So let's drag the current driver here. Let's connect in pawn. And let's remove the airplane input mapping. And let's add the walking input mapping. So to do this, let's drag from the player controller. In my case here, I will type remove input mapping to get the interface function that I created. Let's connect here. And the mapping that I want to remove is the airplane mapping. And let's add the walking mapping again. So just type add input mapping here in my case, of course. Let's connect the execution pin. And the mapping that I want to add is the walking. Let me just add a reroute here. And now let's compile and save. So if I hit play now, we should be able to control the character again. So let me try. Let's enter here. And if I press F now, there it goes. Now I can control the character again. So let's lower this arrow a little bit here. So let me just put a little bit lower like this. Let's hit play again to test this. So let me just interact with the airplane like so, and let's press F, and there you go. Now everything is fine. But there is one more thing that I want to do in this video. So let me hit play here so I can show you. So basically when we enter the airplane and exit, the camera snaps to the location, as you can see. And I don't want that. I want a smooth transition between the cameras. So let's do this now. And to do this, first we need to open the player controller class and here select class default. Here let's uncheck this auto manage active camera. Let's uncheck this. Let's compile and save and let's hit play so you can see. So basically now the player camera is in the wrong location. This is happening because now the player controller is not managing the cameras for us. We need to do this ourselves. So let's go to the third person character blueprint, and here in the begin play we need to set the new target for the camera, right? To do this you need to get a reference to the player controller. So here I have one. Let's drag from this and let's type set view target with blend, this node here. Let's connect the execution pin, and the new view target in this case is the player character, right? The third person character. So let's get a reference to self. Let's get this. Let's connect on the new view target here. And for the blend time, let's leave as 0 because this is the first time, right? So I want the camera to snap at the correct location. So now if we hit play again, now the camera is right, as you can see. But when we enter the airplane, we need to change the view target as well. As you can see, everything is wrong, so we need to do this. Let's go to the airplane here, event graph, and here when we enter the airplane we need to change the view target. So again, let's drag from the player controller here. So I will drag from this reroute. Let's type here set view target with blend. Let's connect the execution pin here. Let me just add a reroute, and this time the new view target is the airplane. So let's get a reference to self here in the airplane, right? Let's connect here, and this time I want some time for the blending. So here in blend time I will put 0.7. Let's compile and save, and now if we try to enter the airplane we should have a transition between the cameras. So let's try this. And there we go, we have a transition. But as you can see, when I enter the airplane, the transition is happening from the middle of the airplane. And we don't want that. We want the transition to start from the previous location of the camera to the new one. To do this is really simple. We just need to enable this lock outgoing here in the set view target node. So just check this. Let's compile and save. And now we should have a clean transition between the player camera and the airplane camera. So let's see. There we go. Now we have a transition. So of course we just need to do the same when we exit the airplane. So let's do this. Let's go back here to the airplane. And here let's drag a reference from the player controller. Let's drag from the player controller and let's type set view target with blend. Let's connect here. Let me just add a reroute. The new view target in this case is the current driver. So let's drag the current driver here and connect in the new view target. For the blend time, I will put 0.7, and let's lock the outgoing like so. Let's compile and save. And now we can clean this current driver variable. So let's just create a set node for this variable and let's leave empty. So this will be basically null. Let's compile and save, and now we should have a clean transition between the airplane camera and the player camera when we exit the airplane. So like this, and now when we exit we have the transition, as you can see. So everything is working. Let's just add a comment on this part here. Let's select every node and let's comment here exit airplane. And there you go. And this is basically it for this video. Now we can enter and exit the airplane, as you can see, and we have a nice transition between the cameras. So in the next video, we will start controlling the airplane. So we will basically calculate the thrust force and we will start controlling the wheels. So if you do like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't lose any new content. And as always, thank you for watching, keep learning. I'll see you in the next video.